Welcome to Financial Focus, brought to you by GulfCoast Financial Services founder and CEO, John Kuykendall. John and his team of financial, legal, and tax professionals have provided North Florida savers and investors sound, comprehensive financial guidance for over 25 years, helping you to achieve important life and planning goals. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more Financial Focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net.
Welcome into the program. This is Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, as named 7 years and running by the readers of the Lake City Reporter, the team from GulfCoast Financial Services, founder and president John Kuykendall here with us, providing the guidance and the perspective as always. And John, we appreciate the time and the answers to a lot of questions that are on the minds of savers and investors.
Well, thank you, Peter. That's really what we're here for. We want to make sure that we get the education out there to anybody that wants it. And so I'm hoping that through this podcast and through the stuff that we do on our social media, that we're answering some questions. You know, retirement isn't easy. I don't care what anybody says. It just isn't as easy as it used to be. There are a lot more moving parts. And I think some of the questions today will find that out and be able to clarify some things for people.
Yeah, and we are going to address some of the topics that have been brought about by common questions that we've received through the different venues this show is found in, whether it's social media, online, right on the website, John, where people can go to GulfCoastFinancial.net and submit questions there, or things that you have heard about. But a lot of questions, a lot of different topics go into planning for retirement. And you are right. I've heard from many sources that actually the financial work and the planning and the preparation that we have to do, and then the day-to-day monitoring throughout retirement, kind of makes just showing up for work and working for the paycheck seem like the easy part of our financial progress.
Well, that's right, Peter. I think that showing up for work, getting that paycheck, and then having it, knowing it's coming in every week or every month, really is a blessing. And when we get to retirement, we realize that, hey, I'm paying myself. There's tax consequences. There's all kinds of consequences that affect everyone when we file for Social Security. The list just goes on and on and on. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Yeah, and that is a big one. So first and foremost, we get a lot of questions about Social Security, how, when to file, what are people's thoughts on retiring early versus waiting until 70. We know that the benefit grows the longer that we wait. But John, let's talk about that, because it is one of the cornerstones for retirement income, but it's also one that has a lot of choices, a lot of options, and very little education about Social Security prior to retirement, actually. So what kind of questions do you help people through, and how do you provide guidance on Social Security issues?
Well, we have a Social Security software that we can input your information in, and we can show you where your break even is going to be and how much you're going to lose if you file too early, or, should you file sooner? It depends on the circumstances, and each individual couple is different. But, I was amazed to read that 94% of all people who are eligible for Social Security file prior to age 70. 94%. Now, at age 70, we maximize our Social Security. And so we're getting that 7% per year bump up, the compounding of that benefit from the full retirement age up to 70. So it's amazing to me the number of people that take it early, afraid they're going to lose it, and they end up not really maximizing their retirement check. The average Social Security check's only $1,860. That's not a lot of money. And so if you figure that 94% of the people are filing before age 70 and taking that smaller check, that's something we've got to live with for the rest of our retirement. And there's a 50% probability that if you're 55, that you're going to reach age 90. So why wouldn't you wait and file at the proper time?
Yeah, life expectancies have expanded. And if we've already made it so far in life, the likelihood increases that we are the part of the population that makes it further than those average numbers. But John, your answer there is not to necessarily say that it's always the right solution to wait till
No.
70, just that there is some merit and benefit for considering that. And unfortunately, many people don't consider that.
Well, they don't take the time to get the software to look to see how much money they're leaving on the table. And maybe there's a way, we can file on the spouse and let yours continue to grow. There are several strategies still left to us. Even though most of them were eliminated, there are still several that are left to us that we can still get some benefit, but we can tell you how much money you're going to leave on the table. I mean, retirement's a long thing. We'll retire almost as long as we work. So why not get the software, get the education, get the benefit of our knowledge, and let us tell you how you can do it. If you go to Social Security, they're not there to tell you how to maximize your Social Security. They're there to take your order and file it the way you've requested it.
Yeah, not saying, oh, well, you came in wanting the hamburger, but in fact, I think that the salad would be a better option for you. Nope, they just take your order and run with it. Now, John, I've seen some of the tools and the calculators and the reports and the projections that you can help somebody put together for their specific situation. I've seen some generic examples that you've done, and the amount of cumulative income that we receive from Social Security is not insignificant. It can be a rather substantial amount, especially for married couples. Oftentimes, just until average life expectancy, those numbers can reach up to $800,000, $900,000, $1 million+ dollars.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the difference between a rush decision or jumping out as soon as we're eligible or waiting for a more optimal timing can mean the difference in several hundreds of thousands of dollars over our lifetime. That's certainly worth the time of the investment to run those numbers before making that decision.
Well, that's right, Peter. It's a lot of money to leave on the table. If you figure that 40% of all retirees right now are living on Social Security, that's not a lot of money that they're living on. It's going to take more and more money for us as retirees to live just because of inflation, taxes, all the things that we know are coming down the pike. It's going to take more of our dollars to live on, and we need to make sure we make the right decision. You can't leave $200,000 or $300,000 on the table and say, "Hey, at least I got it." It'll be there for us. Even if we don't do anything to Social Security, we know that there's enough money to pay 76 cents on every dollar right now. So if we take a haircut when it's 2038 or whenever it is it runs out, we'll still get. Would you rather get 76% of the max, or would you rather get 50% of what you took early? I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And one other note on this, John, because we have a lot of mixed families or marriage, remarriage, divorce situations, is that if that does apply to you, there are oftentimes some quirks within Social Security, some strategies that are available if you have had a divorce prior, and you really got to know the intricacies of that specifically if that does happen to be your situation.
And that's right, Peter. And the software will tell us that if you were married 10 years or longer, you're eligible for your spouse if they're at full retirement age. So you can take it on them, let yours grow. And we've done that several times. And so I think it really works. But the software will tell us that. The computers we have today, the software we have today, looking at Social Security and tax planning and income planning, are so much more sophisticated than what we had 3 or 4 years ago. When I filed on Social Security, I just had to take my best guess. I knew I was full retirement age. I knew I could work and make as much as I wanted. And so I took it early. Looking back on it now, I should have waited. It would have been a much bigger check. Instead of $2,500, it would have been $3,300. That's a lot of money each month to give up.
But you didn't have those advanced tools and calculators and the software back then, John.
Nope.
So
Nope.
looking back, hindsight, we talked about this a few weeks back, but we have all got those decisions. Woulda, coulda, should have done things maybe a little bit differently. But to your point, sometimes the feedback that we get from the show is not necessarily questions directly, but maybe the submission of a link to an article and a request for some opinion or comment on that. And kind of bridging from that last conversation, we had an article that we recently came across thanks to one of the listeners that was from CNBC, and the author was a Harvard trained economist, Lawrence Kotlikoff. Why early retirement is one of the worst money mistakes you'll live to regret, says Lawrence Kotlikoff. John, a listener sent this in and requested your take on this article. What do you think?
Well, I have been to Harvard. So I actually went to the Harvard Advanced Management Program. I have a lot of respect for Harvard and people who are there. It was an interesting read. I think this lady's right on point. She says that, most people want to take early retirement. 94% of all boomers are retiring at retirement age and not working longer. 50% of those will run out of money prior to retirement. That's the statistics that she's come up with. Now, if we work 2 years longer, she's come up with that cuts that list by 50%. So you're at 25% if you work 2 years longer. I think it makes a lot of sense. There's too much emphasis on retirement, too much emphasis on early. The average baby boomer has $144,000 saved. That is only 3 years of living.
Average living expenses for those same
expenses.
Baby boomers. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we can work 2 years longer, save a little bit more money, but put off taking our Social Security, we'll get a bigger Social Security check. And also we'll have a chance to save more money. Plus our life expectancy is not quite as long. So all that plays into the equation. I think she makes a lot of sense.
Now, all that being said, again, very situational, case by case, and that's where you and your team really help somebody crunch the numbers, because what may not be feasible for one circumstance, for one individual, may be very feasible for another, but you got to crunch the numbers to have any confidence in that decision. And always best, by the way, to crunch those numbers before making the decision, not after. So, John, another article that we came across, thanks again to some feedback here, was from Seeking Alpha. And it was the 5 best investment strategies for a volatile market. Now, that is something that I think a lot of people have noticed a little bit recently, that the market has been a little bit more volatile. The 5 strategies, I'm just going to sum it up and get your take. Stay invested. Don't make a knee-jerk reaction. Think long-term, stay invested. Put your money to work consistently with dollar cost averaging rather than sitting in cash. Know what you own, focus on good companies and diversify, and then find resources and tools to educate yourself. To me, those really sound like those are good fundamentals in any market, but maybe people forget them in volatile markets.
Well, I think when the market's good, and we're in this state of euphoria because we're making all this money and everybody's happy and excited. And then we tend to forget that there are rules that we've lived with, and we lived with them when the market was good. You just didn't talk about them as much. But we always want a dollar cost average in. We never want to throw all of our money in the market at one time. And if we do that, then consistently we're buying at different prices, have a better chance of making money. I love the one about know what you own. And that was a Peter Lynch thing. And Peter, as you know, ran the Fidelity Magellan Fund, had the highest return of any, I think, of any fund manager I've ever heard of. I mean, he was in the 20s for the percent every year for the length of time he ran the fund. And he always said, know what you're buying. Make sure you understand the company and the underlying situation. And that's what we're doing here. When we say dollar cost average, we're wanting to invest in over time. We want to stay invested and not get a knee-jerk reaction because the market will change. If you got out of the market last February or February of 20, the market, as you know, came right back up, and you missed the opportunity to get back up because we had a V, not a W then, and that market went right back up on us. That's a prime example of why you need to stay invested. And I think the other thing is that, we need to rely on specialists and get educated from your advisors. We have the tools and as I said many times, the software, but we have the knowledge. We're listening to reading all this stuff every day, hundreds of emails that we get from analysts and fund companies every day about what the market's doing, where it's going. Use that to decide what you're going to be doing. Don't make a knee-jerk reaction. But we tend, in bad markets, we tend to forget those 5 rules. And all we want to do is get out of the market, get safe. And then what the problem is, we never come back into the market. It's always like the individual that was out of the market for 12 years and thought he'd made money, but he was making 1% a year.
Yeah. And you gave the example there of the COVID downturn, but that is just like every downturn before it. And that has happened throughout history so far, is that every time the market has gone down, it has come back up and then some eventually. So sticking with those long-term premises, long-term time horizon.
There is one caveat we need to use. Now, if you're not retired and you're not using that money to live on, then that scenario works. If you're retired and if you're using your investments as your paycheck, don't forget about the sequence of returns, because the sequence of returns, we're pulling out in a down market. We're going to crash that portfolio. That's why we need income allocation, income planning, so that we can plan our income, not just have it in the market in one bucket.
That written retirement income plan, really one of the focuses there at GulfCoast Financial Services, and that John talks about often here on Financial Focus. If you'd like to get that income plan for retirement, how to use your assets, the order of operations, how to make withdrawals efficiently so that you can rely on them durably, dependably, and consistently, pick up the phone and give a call to GulfCoast Financial Services. See what kind of difference that can make in your financial confidence transitioning into or moving through retirement. Actually having a plan for retirement in writing. 386-755-9018, the number to call. That's 386-755-9018. And today we are talking about some of the topics that we commonly hear about that are discussed through some of the listeners of the podcast, the viewers of the podcast. Another big one, not all of these are always questions. Again, John, we get comments from time to time, but another big topic is taxes. Recently, we heard that the tax man does not make it easy to retire. That is all. Very true.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is taxes are going to be a big part of our retirement. We were taught early that taxes would be cheaper in retirement, but they're not. They're not going to be cheaper. We're going to pay more in taxes the longer we wait. So we need to make sure that we have tax planning. That's one of the things we do, Peter.
Well, that also goes part and parcel, hand in hand with the income planning, right, John? I mean, so many of us have these assets that we have built up, and yet every time we make a withdrawal, there is a tax liability realized that goes along with the income that we need to spend. So income planning, tax planning just go hand in hand as part of the total comprehensive written retirement plan.
That's right, Peter. And it's never too soon to start. Just this morning, we met with a 45-year-old individual, and we're putting together a tax plan, a retirement plan, an income plan for him and his wife, because we want to be able to track it forward. He would like to be able to, at some point in time, whether he retires or not, he would like for his wife to be able to say, I don't want to work anymore. So that's his goal. That's what we're planning to work for. So you don't have to be 60 to start this income plan. The sooner we start it, the better it is, and the more we can tweak it and the better job we can do with it.
Yeah, I was going to follow up with that same notion that probably with that as with so many things in the financial world, the earlier you start, the better. If you can start income planning for retirement on day one of your working career with the first dollar you earn, you're probably well ahead of the game. Most people don't, though, however. So, John, we get questions, we get feedback, we hear about the concerns on a variety of topics: healthcare, retirement accounts, investment accounts, the market, taxes, Social Security, income planning. All of these things are subjects that you and your team at Gulf Coast Financial Services help people to address, so that really they can address the biggest question of all, which is about quality of life in retirement.
Well, we did our coffee talk this morning, which is our monthly little video that Brent and I do. And we talked on that this morning about the Tom Haglia and his 3 phases of retirement: go, slow go, no go. And what I said was, we want to work up an income plan that will give you the best retirement that we can give you, that will make sure that your go years, you're able to go where you want to go, do the things you want to do, so that later in life, as you enjoy your retirement, you can look back and look at those memories and say, hey, I did a really good job of making sure that I had enough money that I could do what I wanted to do. And that's what we're all about here.
Yeah, I enjoy those coffee talks. You can usually find those monthly at the Facebook page or on the website, but GulfCoastFinancial.net, the webpage. You can go online on the social media, different pages. Your favorite one, you can find Gulf Coast Financial Services, or Facebook, it's at Gulf Coast Financial Lake City is where you can find them, and follow them, please, if you would. And you can get those coffee talks on a regular basis. You can see some of the other issues that they address there. So many. You can see the community interaction, which is fantastic. That's another thing that I think that the listeners, the viewers, your clients certainly know, but others need to know about what you and your team do there at Gulf Coast Financial Services. A lot of community service to go along with the financial services.
Well, we hope so, Peter. One of the things we want to do is give back to our community. We've always felt that. We have an obligation to give back to our listeners, but also give back to our community. And we try with our first responders luncheon every year, with our sponsor of the Lusky Festival, with all the things that we try to do. And in addition to our churches and the way that we give to them, we hope that we're doing what we should to make our community better.
I've seen some real cute animals and pets get adopted through your Facebook page as well. So just lots going on there at Gulf Coast Financial Services. But as always, your source to get answers to your important financial questions, ladies and gentlemen. Give John Kuykendall, the team there at Gulf Coast Financial Services, and sister company Gulf Coast Tax Advantage. I know tax is on everybody's mind this time of year, but give them a call. They can look at your financial plan, your outlook, your strategies. They can look at things from a tax perspective as well. Make sure that you're doing the best things with your money so that you get to keep more of it. Give a call, 386-755-9018. That's 386-755-9018. John, always appreciate you being here to give us the guidance and answer so many questions.
Thank you, Peter. I'm glad I was here. I hope everybody got something out of this, and it was really informative. I really enjoyed it.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more financial focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through Gulf Coast Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. Gulf Coast Financial Services, Inc. is not affiliated with with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions.